When you can't make it to City Hall or the school board meetings, local journalists from duluthnewstribune.com will be there to report the facts and get your questions answered. Local news works for you. Stay up to date at duluthnewstribune.com.
Hello, Northlanders. It's Thursday, September 28th. I'm Wyatt Buckner with the Duluth News Tribune Minute, presented by Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union.
The average MPECU member saves over $785 a year in better rates and lower fees. And with MPECU, every ATM is your ATM. With their free checking program, you get ATM fee reimbursements at any ATM anywhere in the U.S. Check out Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union's services online at mpecu.com or visit their offices in downtown Duluth, Arrowhead Road, or Miller Trunk Highway.
Now here's a look at today's headlines. A Wisconsin man was intoxicated and speeding when he crashed into a tree near Floodwood earlier this month, splitting his pickup truck in half and killing 2 passengers, according to investigators. Darren Andrew Tenney, 23, was arraigned Wednesday in State District Court on 2 counts of criminal vehicular homicide in the September 9th deaths of 2 23-year-old Twin Cities residents, Joseph David Trowbridge and Madison Joy Warren. Tenney, who was also injured in the crash, surrendered to local authorities Tuesday, shortly after a warrant was issued for his arrest. Authorities said Tenney's 2004 Chevrolet Silverado was found, quote, catastrophically damaged, end quote, in the ditch along County Road 8, just east of Floodwood, after an automated 911 call was placed from an iPhone around 2:45 a.m. Trowbridge, of Woodbury, had been ejected through the windshield and was found dead in a nearby tree, according to court filings. Warren, of Oakdale, remained belted in the back seat but was also pronounced dead at the scene from severe trauma. Tenney initially appeared unconscious as deputies found him partially ejected from the vehicle but pinned from the waist down, according to search warrants. The cab had been completely separated from the frame of the truck, deputies wrote. Tenney began to regain consciousness, speaking with the deputies and attempting to free himself through the hole in the windshield, authorities said. A complaint indicates that his speech was slurred and he alternated between saying there were 3 and 4 people in the truck. Authorities also noted a, quote, strong odor of alcohol coming from the defendant, end quote, and found several Busch Light cans scattered inside the Silverado and on the ground around the wreckage. Paramedics arrived and extricated Tenney from the cab, and he was flown to St. Luke's Hospital in Duluth. A warrant was obtained for a blood draw, revealing a blood alcohol concentration of 0.117 4 hours after the crash, according to the complaint. The legal limit for driving in Minnesota is 0.08. Judge Sean Pearson set bail at $20,000 with pretrial monitoring, or $200,000 without conditions. Tenney's next court appearance was set for October 24th. A 57-year-old Two Harbors man was injured Wednesday when a train struck the semi-trailer he was driving. According to the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office, reports came in at 11:52 a.m. of a Canadian National train that struck a logging truck on the 1800 block of Brimson Road in Alt Township, about 20 miles northwest of Two Harbors. The injured truck driver was taken by a Lake County ambulance to St. Luke's in Duluth. Sheriff Gordon Ramsey said on Facebook that his injuries were not serious. The 2 CN employees on the train were uninjured. The train, 2 engines and 3 loaded cars, did not derail and no hazardous materials were spilled, the sheriff's office said. The remote crossing had stop signs on either side of the tracks, the sheriff's office said. The Minnesota State Patrol commercial vehicle and CN police were both called to the scene to investigate the crash. Dan Williamson now joins us with a special guest.
Thanks, Wyatt. I'm joined by one of our colleagues, the great Melinda Levine, Duluth News Tribune features reporter. We're speaking over Zoom, and Melinda is working on a story for Friday's e-edition of the Duluth News Tribune. It's also a story you can find online prior at duluthnewstribune.com. And Melinda, you were telling me this is about a gentleman that lives in Duluth that started his own food waste pickup service. What more can you tell us?
Yes, so Nathan Bronk, he operates Duluth Compost, and with this subscription service, folks can get a 5-gallon former pickle container and put their food scraps in it, and Nathan will drive by every other Sunday and pick it up and drop it off at WLSSD, where the food scraps will then be processed naturally and to create beautiful compost that we can put back into our farms and our gardens and just like kind of complete the whole food cycle.
How unique is this?
This is a unique concept to Duluth although WLSSD, they did test a pilot program for curbside pickup for compost in early 2000. It didn't go too well. There was like a lot of contamination, so they didn't continue going it. And WLSSD does offer about 10 food waste drop-off sites between Duluth, Carlton, and Hermantown. But yes, this is Duluth's first curbside compost pickup service of this kind.
Very cool. What was your biggest takeaway from this story, Melinda?
Oh, my biggest takeaway was, getting to talk to people who kind of like have interesting jobs and like hear like the cool things that they find. He was talking about like our food waste. He's like, yeah, in the summer there's lots of like pineapple cores and corn cobs, and in the winter, there's like turkey bones and stuff. And I was just like fascinated with like those like kind of interesting, weird facts, but also kind of taken with, how much like people care about the environment where we live. And, one of the things, Nathan, he's really intentional. He spent 3 years collecting these like big 5-gallon food safe containers that he uses for his business now. And they actually like used to belong to a local restaurant. So it's like another way of like being sustainable and cost effective for his business and kind of sticking to his own values. I really like those kind of like details about how, we just get creative with things here.
Well, that's good to hear. As far as our audience goes, what do you hope they take away from this story?
I hope the audience can take away just kind of this thought process, like, hey, like if we keep some of the stuff out of the landfill, like we're actually reinvesting in ourselves. We're kind of keeping stinky stuff out of the trash and also investing in our food.
Well said. Melinda, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Dan.
And again, you can find Melinda's article in Friday's e-edition of the Duluth News Tribune. It's also a story you can find online prior at duluthnewstribune.com. Wyatt, back to you.
Thanks, Dan. Now here's a look at your forecast, brought by the News Tribune's Northlandia podcast.
Weather for the Duluth area today, looking at mostly cloudy skies with a slight chance of a sprinkle or two this afternoon, with high temperatures getting into the mid-60s, dropping into the upper 50s overnight tonight, holding on to the mostly cloudy skies, and that goes into Friday as well, with more chances of scattered showers and thunderstorms. High temperatures in the upper 60s, getting to around 70 for Saturday. I'm Storm Tracker meteorologist Robert Pointer.
Thank you to the Northlandia podcast for their support. The weekly podcast explores curious and unique stories here in the Northland. The latest episode explores the questions evoked by Duluth's Cemetery Labyrinth. You can find that episode now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you also get this podcast. Reporting for today's episode was done by Tom Olson, Jimmy Lovren, and Melinda Levine. Thank you for listening to the Duluth News Tribune Minute. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.